It is the biggest game of Arsenal's season. Arsenal against Liverpool in the Premier League at the Emirates, a must-win fixture if the Gunners are to indeed stamp their authority on this title race or risk falling out of it entirely. I'm going to be joined by a fantastic cast of our members from the Discord server to have a chat about all of it and more. This is the Arsenal Preview Show. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal Preview Show, looking ahead to the next Arsenal fixture. As always, I'm joined by a fantastic cast of guests, and today is no different. Let me introduce you first of all to Leo. Leo, how you doing? You good? You well?
Hi, hello Thomas. Yes, everything good. Thank you.
Everything's good. I don't think I've been called Thomas unless I'm in trouble. So I don't know what I've done, but
Your defense is in trouble.
defense is in trouble indeed. Good pivot. Also joined by Jordan. Jordan, how you doing, mate? You good? You well?
Everything's good, Tom. How you doing?
Yes, good, mate. Very good indeed. And finally joining our quartet is David. How you doing, David? You good? You well?
Yes, sir. What's going on, guys?
All good. Lovely stuff. Yes, big game. Huge game. The biggest of games. Leo, how nervous are we going into this one?
Surprisingly, not very nervous.
Really?
Quite not confident, more like optimistic.
Mm.
Yeah, don't quite have the shivers yet. Maybe tomorrow I will, but yeah, just looking forward to it. Really.
Yeah, I think it is one to be looking forward to. Obviously, Arsenal won this fixture last season, but we've had a very, stark reminder of what differences can happen already with the FA Cup defeat. How much, Jordan, do you think that FA Cup's going to play on the minds of both teams going into this one?
I'd say a bit. I mean, I think we're more if we are nervous as fans, I think we're more nervous than they are. I think they know they played really well. I think that game was a coin flip, and they probably took a lot of confidence from it, regardless of the scoreline at the end.
Yeah, it's difficult to not, be emboldened, I suppose, when you've already come to the ground that you're expected to win at again and beat Arsenal for the second time in the space of a month. But David, it is still, I think, something of a reality check still for Liverpool when they arrive at the Emirates, with Arsenal having Gabriel Jesus this time available to them, of course, emboldened by the fact that we should have pretty much our strongest team. But they also have some players returning since we last played them in the FA Cup. Andrew Robertson has come back to their team. Thiago Alcantara is in training. We don't know if he's going to be available for the squad. We'll have to wait and see. And Thomas Partey is not going to be available for us yet after him having a setback. How are you feeling about how both teams are stacking up?
I think both teams are coming into this game very, very, very good. I think both of our forms are contrasting in certain ways, but I mean, you can only really play with the team that you have, and you can only really have confidence in the team that you have. So, these 11 players plus the guys on the bench have to be able to do the job. There is confidence, I think, from our side that we can still do something, especially from what you saw from that match in the FA Cup a couple of weeks ago. But, at this point, it's just these guys have to go out and do it. They have to perform like I'm pretty sure we'll get into it, but this is one of those games where we walk in and we say, we just can't lose. We have to win or at least get a draw, because anything anywhere clear to a loss, you're talking about titles done.
Is it as simple as that for you, Leo? Is it a case of if we lose this, title race is over?
It's never as simple as that, but honestly, yeah, if I think we're going to be 8 points behind them if we lose. There's very little chance of us coming back from there, I think, especially if the team's mentality, the confidence gets shattered after a loss like this, especially at home. But never say never. We were 8 points in front last year, but
yeah, and Manchester City, of course, have a game in hand over us. They're level on points with us at the moment, but you'd imagine, yes, we'd be 8 points, I guess, behind Liverpool, of course. But if we were to lose this, City, win their game, and their game in hand was only 9 points, behind them as well. So it can change very quickly. But equally, Jordan, it can change in the other direction. If Arsenal were to win this game, you're only 2 points behind Liverpool. Do you think the conversation dramatically changes surrounding Arsenal if this happens?
The conversation does. I think that throws us back in the mix. I think there's going to be a lot more optimism. I think maybe it shifts. If we lose this game, I feel like the emphasis on the season is like, all right, let's get top 4 and let's push Champions League hard. And that begins that rhetoric of like, okay, that's our route to feeling successful at the end of the season. But if we win this game, then I think it still feels like a 2-pronged attack, with an ability to feel good on either front.
Yeah, I feel as though if Arsenal win the game, there cannot be discussions around, Arsenal aren't up for this title race. This isn't the same Arsenal as last season, because this is a much tougher title race than it was compared to last season, because obviously Liverpool are involved this time around. I think Tottenham are far better. Villa obviously are far better as well, and obviously chasing back inside the top 4. I mean, Villa drawing today, of course, their game. Spurs drawing today, their game. Everton, Villa winning very comfortably actually against Sheffield United in their fixture, but that's taken them level on points with us, and of course closed out that goal difference as well. If Liverpool would have a big win, you could even see Arsenal dropping into 4th behind Aston Villa again after the same amount of games played. It really would close that up. I mean, is there a fear, David, that this becomes very quickly a top 4 race rather than a title race?
It could. Like, we win, it's a conversation between us, City, and Liverpool. If we lose, like you said, we can get dragged into the Villas, the Spurs, the West Hams, and everybody else, because everything right now is kind of based on kind of confidence and momentum for us. And I think this is an important game for us to be able to stamp out any bit of doubt going into the rest of the season. So, look, we just need a win, right? You know what I'm saying? We just need a win.
It really is that simple, isn't it? We just need to win. It's now about how Arteta goes about archetype. He has to be the architect of the team that's going to do that. How do you expect us, Leo, based upon what we saw in that FA Cup game, where Arsenal set up with, Jorginho and Rice in midfield? Obviously, we'll come on to our lineups, what we would like to see. But if we're thinking about what Arteta's going to want to do, he had Havertz up front for that game. Jesus is, of course, available for this one. How do you think Arteta might approach this game differently to how he approached the FA Cup, if at all? Maybe you think he'll approach it exactly the same.
Good question. I quite like that performance against Liverpool in FA Cup. We were quite unlucky to concede through for an own goal, then brilliant finish by Luis Diaz. Yeah. And I think our performance there, and especially in the first half, I think it was quite encouraging. And later Klopp said that he was quite surprised by the lineup he saw that Arsenal lined up, and he wasn't expecting Havertz to play. So I'm interested in his anticipation of what we might do, because I think that if now Havertz starts as a 9, it's not going to play such a big surprise to Klopp as it was last month. But I think it's quite possible that he still does the same thing, because it worked quite well. But on the other hand, Jesus is in quite good form, as it turns out, after a goal and assist earlier this week. I don't know what he might do. Also, there's a question if maybe Jesus needs to be managed from fitness point of view, because he said he had some problems in his knee again before the game. Yeah. So I don't know.
And that's fine. It's fine not to know. Arteta said in his press conference that Jesus had trained all week, so hopefully he should be okay. I mean, Jordan, what lessons do you think Arteta will have learned from that FA Cup defeat?
Yeah, what I hope he learned, or what I suspect that he caught on to, was maybe Jorginho's role in that game. I think it's something that's not obvious, not at all, but like it does stick out to me as his role in that game, as far as playing against this sort of an opposition, from being able to help us break the lines with his passing and break the press with his passing and give us something to a ball over the top, a through ball, some threat in behind. And I Georgie is funny, man, because what happens is you lose Partey and all of a sudden everyone loves Jorginho's passing, and I think he's fine. I think he's been, I don't peg him as this like metronome that can't move and this turret or whatever, but all of a sudden, Partey's gone. We have Rice, who's an incredible player, but that's not his strongest suit. And all of a sudden, Jorginho is like, prime Pirlo, just slipping passes, as a deep line playmaker. And he is very good at that. And it just that attribute is something I think we're going to need. I'm nervous about him getting caught on the ball in the press. But I am imagining it in my head of him, hitting like a no-look ball to Saka or something, putting Martinelli in to just break that press. And I do see that as something that I hope really strongly that Arteta does.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of us didn't go for Jorginho. Just a bit of a spoiler alert for later, but I think all of us picked Jorginho in our 11s, and I think that's because of the importance of having not only the importance of having him there, but I think that actually reflects how impressed we probably all were with him in the game against Liverpool in the FA Cup as well, and the performance that he had in that game. He came on against Crystal Palace at home and played that fantastic ball in behind for it was Crystal Palace, wasn't it? Yeah, for Martinelli in that case, and I think that's an opportunity we could see if Trent Alexander-Arnold starts there or Conor Bradley starts there and they vacate that space and suddenly we get on the transition. You've got the opportunity to try and find Martinelli in behind. That's going to be really interesting to see if we are able to do that. David, we have seen, obviously, Andrew Robertson coming back. It seems he's going to be, you'd imagine, probably starting this game. He was on the bench in midweek. They were able to kind of give him a few minutes, but and Trent as well was benched, and they're able to rest some players against Chelsea because that's the side Chelsea have become now, a team in which everybody just rests their best players against because you can still get a free win against them. That's how far they've fallen as a club. But he's going to be up against Ben White, of course, on that right-hand side, and on the other side, of course, what we expect to be Zinchenko, we'd imagine. How do you think we're going to cope with their fullback threat in this game? And Robertson's return, of course, adds a different threat this time around compared to Joe Gomez, who we played last time.
Honestly, part of me thinks that he'll still stick with Joe Gomez just to be up against Saka on that side. Like the last two games that he's played on that side, he's actually done very, very well up against Saka, and he hasn't really given him a whole lot of space. Plus, playing Joe Gomez there, you have the ability for Liverpool to kind of invert him, and that's what we saw against Chelsea. Going in between the center backs or moving up into midfield and being able to kind of pass that ball out and having that three at the back. But part of me still thinks that it's probably Gomez is going to start. The toss-up is going to be if Jurgen Klopp really wants to bring Trent back into this game. Because from what we've seen of Bradley over the past couple of games, he has done good. But the biggest thing about him over Trent is that he has that defensive ability, or at least a better defensive ability, you would probably say, than Trent. But up against Arsenal, you're probably going to want that out ball. So if you're not going to play one, you might as well play the other. Trent, I could probably see starting on that side. So it is going to give us a bit of a headache in that middle third of the pitch, and it's really just gonna have to be about how Mikel Arteta tries to get this press down, because we're gonna have to try and pick up a lot of those guys. We can't allow them to get on the ball and start dictate and play. That's what we did in that second half, and that allowed Liverpool back into the game. So it's just about how we can kind of manage those guys dropping into midfield, really.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of Conor Bradley in the chat box, let me find the comment. Yassine says Conor Bradley might not be playing since his father sadly passed away this week. I was just checking up on that story. It's a story that came out from the Irish Independent. It's not been reported by anywhere else at this moment in time, but it is going around social media. I'd no reason to think that wouldn't be the case. And obviously our thoughts are with Conor Bradley at what is, I'm sure, a really difficult time. So he may or may not be involved in this game. Sometimes players do play, sometimes they don't. I mean, Luis Diaz, of course, had a situation earlier on with his own father, thankfully returned safe and sound in the end, but he did play during periods where I think that it was still uncertain as to his situation. So I guess we'll only find out when it comes to Sunday whether or not Conor Bradley will be involved, but he's proven to be a fantastic talent. I mean, I was on Sirius XFM the other day in America talking about kind of their cloning machine that Liverpool basically have of these right back talents that they create, and it's rather ludicrous how good they are. But elsewhere, of course, Leo, Mohamed Salah, we don't expect to be available. He did tease a return when he put on social media those images of him training outside. I would be surprised to see him involved in this, but they want to obviously keep. I suppose that was probably designed more than anything to keep us guessing than anything else. Darwin Nunez is potentially a doubt for this game. I know there's been suggestions that he has had some kind of fitness question marks going into this week, so we don't know if he's going to be available. But now Diogo Jota is back. They got Gakpo. You got Diaz there, of course, as well. There's so much talent there. How are we going to stop this Liverpool attacking threat?
By suffocating them and playing like we always play. They will obviously have the chances. Hopefully, all the chances will come to Darwin Nunez, and he will be shooting in a goal, not Jota, because yeah. But honestly, let's hope and believe that our guys can play the best. And if we play our best, then I think we've got a good chance of minimizing the threat that they can generate. And obviously, if Trent plays, then there's very little we can do sometimes. But if Trent isn't playing, if perhaps, Salah hopefully won't be playing, but you know how it goes against Arsenal always. Thiago, I don't think he's going to be fit or sharp enough to play. We'll see. The key, I think, is to give them as little ball as possible and to, win every 4-game duel and to not be upset. Yeah.
Someone sent me a funny clip of that Arteta. I actually rewatched that the All or Nothing series the other day, the January transfer window episode, because I was watching that just for some quotes to see what Edu was saying, because he just says how he's just like, yeah, he just hates the January window. It's just not a very nice period to have to work in. And again, it was very similar actually. Window that 2021 window, I think it was, where we didn't sign anyone and Aubameyang obviously moved on and it wasn't any incomings going on. There was a lot of pressure on Arsenal from that period. We went out in the League Cup semi-final to Liverpool. It's interesting. I was watching that back and I was thinking of all the flack that Arteta has taken about what we've done in the domestic cups, and we quickly forget that we actually reached the League Cup semi-final not so long ago, and very came close to progressing to the final. We drew at Anfield, of course, and sadly couldn't win at home because we had quite a few issues going on in our team selection, of Aubameyang being one of those. But it's funny that we reached the League Cup semi-final not so long ago. But getting back to this one, Jordan, in front of Jorginho is obviously Declan Rice and then Martin Ødegaard as well. And a lot of people are suggesting that Martin Ødegaard holds the key to this game, and that if he is to have a very good game against a big team, which is often something that he is questioned about, is how he performs in the biggest of games, then it's going to obviously be a massive boost to us. But how important do you think Ødegaard is to this one, and Declan Rice, of course, as well?
I don't want to abdicate Ødegaard of responsibility of getting on the ball, but I do think that he's been starved for being fed the ball, starved for people finding him in spaces, and been forced to drop back. And we know how his role has changed. And I think that role suits what we need him to do right now, but doesn't suit his best abilities. I think he could drop deep, collect the ball, be a deep lying playmaker. His passing range isn't huge, but that's really why I want to see Jorginho in there. I think that there's an opportunity. We need him to have the lines broken for him, receive, in the half space, turn, and not take too many touches, which people are losing their minds over, I think, a little bit. I definitely think that, yes, he's taken a couple. Our whole front five have taken a couple too many touches sometimes. But that's something that they're talking about. And yes, it's something I hold, my fingers crossed for, that we can be a little bit more making the right final decision. And usually it's not taking that extra touch, but Ødegaard has been criticized for not showing up in the big games. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's something that, is in the Twitter sphere. But I really feel like it is on some level us getting him the ball in that. And I think if he's dropping super deep, it really limits what he can do and what we can do.
Yeah, for sure. I think also it's worth pointing out that Ødegaard's role, I think, does change slightly when you've got Jorginho and Rice, because obviously Rice does push forwards, but Ødegaard, I think, has got greater roaming license when it is those two. So he hopefully can help the left-hand side as well as just the right-hand side, which he does to a great extent with Saka, of course, who we need to have a really big game also. David, I don't know if we've got a friend of yours in the chat box dropping in a super chat. Mark Arthur C. Phillips. Is that a friend of yours?
Yeah, that's my boy, man. You guys work together.
I guess I'm gonna have to forward through the super chat to you then. But he says, "What's up, David D? It would not surprise me if Darwin Nunez scores a hat trick with our luck, of course."
Honestly, man, look. With our luck, Salah's going to be playing. Trent, Robertson, Thiago, everybody's going to be fit.
Luis Suarez.
Nunez is going to score a hat trick. Everybody's just going to. And the other thing, like, I don't know if anybody else really notices with Liverpool. It's just like every time they go into these duels where you expect them not to come up with the ball, somehow they always come up with the ball. Somehow it always just lands in the right spot. And with all luck, it's just going to be the same like it was a couple weeks ago, where we do everything right. Nothing comes off for us. They go right up the other end and they score. I hope not. But who knows, bro? Like,
you have to wait and see. Fingers crossed it doesn't. Let's go to lineups. Jordan, we're starting with you, mate. Talk us through your selection and why you picked it.
Yeah, I think the three biggest contestable slots here are we playing Jorginho, or are we playing Martinelli or Trossard, and are we playing Jesus or Havertz? I think the rest picks itself, and I think Jorginho is definitely going to be there for that reason of breaking press and giving us an out ball and giving us or playing the out ball and breaking the lines. I'm starting Jesus. It's just hard to sit him. I agree that there was that talk of him needing his knee drained, and that was, to me, with a physio background, was like, I'm not even sure how they're getting him to play if that happened in such a close proximity to the game, but he played amazingly well and seems fit in training. And so I'll leave that to the physios, and if he's fit, he plays. And then the Martinelli or Trossard, what I find interesting is the what you think this game's going to be. If you think this is a game that's, it's not cagey, it's not going to be the word to describe this game, but if you feel like we need a real power up, then I think you leave Martinelli on the bench and you hope Trossard has a good 60 minutes. What I find, this is a good problem to have. If you start Martinelli, I'd like to see whoever doesn't start get a good half hour on the pitch. I think they both played really well. They both scored some good goals, some important goals. That, Martinelli didn't play amazing against Forest, but I think they should both be feeling good enough. And I just want to not keep them both happy, but I think they both deserve to be there enough that I really want to see both of them at some point. I think Trossard came on and was like the only adult on the pitch. I don't know if you said that, Tom, but that's exactly how I felt watching him. I was like, get the ball to Trossard. He's going to hold it for us for a second. He's going to let me take my fingernails out of my mouth for a second, and just like let us calm down for a second. And so I don't know if that buys him a start, but it just nudges that up into a question, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's certain players that, like Havertz, for instance, that'd be a good finisher really in this game in terms of finishing the game if we're leading. Trossard's the same in terms of holding the ball up. Trossard's also got a really good record against Liverpool, scored a hat-trick at Anfield, as we've said. So, yeah, certainly do agree. Leo's next. Talk us through it, mate.
Yeah, nothing that hasn't been said already, really. Jorginho starts there for the reason that we saw him play very well, and I think he's going to be very useful in that situation. My other thought would be playing Rice, Odegaard on the left and Havertz on the right, but I don't think it's time to experiment against Liverpool. We've seen it once, and it hasn't quite worked very well, and since then we didn't see it anymore, so I don't know. I think that's what we are going to see ultimately. And as Jordan said, it's either Havertz or Gabriel Jesus. I went with Havertz because I thought he generated a lot. Even if he didn't get on the end of a lot of chances, he didn't score, he didn't provide an assist, but he just creates moments. He creates the chaos there. Gabriel Jesus does it also, but in his own way. And I think against Liverpool, the physicality will be more needed. The transitions will be more often than against a team like Nottingham Forest. I think Havertz is going to be more useful. And I thought about starting Trossard and letting Martinelli just finish them out in the end. But then I realized that actually Martinelli has a very good record against Liverpool, and I think it's a team that really suits him. The transitions, the spacing behind, the Trent or Bradley in the on his flank. I think it's a game for him. He could have been my star man, but I didn't really think it through when I texted you. So really. Yeah, I think I was also thinking about letting Saka come off the bench as well, but I don't see that happening really.
Really? Biggest game of the season. You're not starting the star boy. I mean, you are obviously in your team, but you've considered not. He scored obviously in the last game as well against Forest.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Just I don't think he's in a really good form. I mean, he's scoring them goals and giving them assists, but he doesn't really seem very sharp. I don't know, maybe not very confident. He actually, yeah, against Nottingham, he played quite well, and I've seen him make a run that as fast as I've never seen him make it. So we will see. But he struggled a lot in, I think, both games against Liverpool. So that was my only reasoning behind that.
Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. David's. Oh, hold on. I don't know why I've got double Jesus there. I need to change that. I mean, that'd be pretty impressive if we managed to do that. Go on.
But yeah, look, same reason why Jorginho's in the team for all the other reasons. I like how Jordan brought up that I think what this team is missing is that player that has the ability to break the lines. And I think if you're going to have a player that breaks the line as well as Jorginho, you need somebody in that forward area that can drop in, receive the ball, spin off, and actually bring the rest of that front three into play. But the biggest thing about me having Jesus as a star man is that after that goal, I want to see another one. I want to see another good performance. I want to see another assist. I want to see some more good play. And we need a very, very good top striking Jesus for the rest of the season. And this might be one of those games where at home, in front of the home crowd and stuff like that, hopefully everything just comes together for him. But everybody else pretty much speaks for himself. It's really going to be interesting what happens with Zinchenko on that left-hand side, because I think we all saw what happened after the game versus Nottingham Forest with him and White. I just think, and I hope and pray that this guy's just on something in this game, because the last thing we need is Zinchenko just getting absolutely obliterated on that side, getting isolated time after time. So hopefully Gabriel, hopefully Rice on that side can provide him a bit of protection, but everybody else just has to do the thing. Everybody else just has to show up, take the chances when they come, and just try not to make as many mistakes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with plenty of that, if not all of it. And my lineup's exactly the same. I put Odegaard as my star man just because I think if we're going to win this game, I think he has to have an unbelievable performance, and I really hope that he does. If he's not on it, if he's not having his best game, it takes our chances of winning down considerably. So I'm really hoping that he steps up and can focus. The image you can see on your screen of Odegaard has been something of a kind of an expression he shows in quite a few games. Odegaard seems to get more wound up by refereeing decisions at the moment than any other player on the fields. I really think there's a sense from him that things are going against us from referees. I notice it in every single game that I watch him, and sometimes it doesn't get picked up by the TV cameras, obviously, because you don't always get that focusing in on one player. But certainly it seems whenever there's a refereeing issue or mistake, Odegaard is the first one to be throwing his arms up in the air. He gets very frustrated. So I'm hoping that maybe he can refocus in this game, because as people have pointed out, Liverpool this season are getting a lot of decisions go their way. The Chelsea game in particular was some of the decisions that Chelsea didn't get penalty-wise were just ludicrous. So yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see what kind of refereeing performance we see on the day. But Odegaard's a very, very big player for us, obviously, and was a massive part of last season's success. And hopefully, if we do have him available at his top form, he's going to be key once again. But the rest of the team: Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Jorginho, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. Interesting point made by Clive, actually. I saw this. I think he put it on Twitter, unless I was listening to the Vision and he said it. But he pointed out something about the idea of playing Jorginho and Zinchenko doesn't necessarily work because of the positions on the field that they occupy. I remember against Liverpool in the FA Cup, Jorginho played with Kivior at left back, not Zinchenko. And it was an intriguing proposition. I can't remember where I saw it, but it was definitely put somewhere. And I'm not sure whether or not it works or not. I guess we'll see. If Jorginho starts, then Are they going to take up the same spaces? Is there going to be too much congestion in the midfield? I guess we will see. But what we're going to see first is, of course, our predictions from you guys in the chat box and our panelists. Leo, we start with you. Scoreline and scorers, please.
We'll go with 3-1. Our win, obviously. I think, I don't know, maybe Havertz will get on the end of one. Saka will get on the end of one. We will concede. We'll be very nervy. And in the 80th minute, something like that, maybe on a breakaway, Martinelli will score one as well.
Lovely stuff. Jordan.
I got a 3-2 game of the season. Absolutely amazing game coming this weekend. I think Saka will get a penalty. I think Odegaard will hit one from the ozone, and maybe a Zinchenko karate kick.
That would be. Who did he score? The one that he did. He did score one, didn't he? I swear
Burnley.
I remember him scoring.
Burnley.
Was it Burnley?
Mm.
Yeah, that was quite the effort. Quite the effort. David's.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say 3-2 as well. I think even though both of us have really good defenses, I think it's going to be a very open game. But I'm going with Jesus. I'm going with Martinelli, and I cross my fingers that Odegaard comes back up with another goal from the ozone.
I mean, him scoring in this game would really put pay to the critics. It would just be nice to have a really strong reference point of where he's turned up in one of these really big games. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Our resident Liverpool fan, Ryan Kirkpatrick, says 2-1 Liverpool. And he added earlier on in the show, he said, whilst it's a must-win game for you guys, I think it's almost a must-win game for us as well, because City will be looking at this game and hoping for Liverpool to drop points. I think the dream result for City obviously is a draw. That's what they'll be hoping for. So, and they've got, who have they got tomorrow? Brentford, is it? I think it's Brentford. They're away at Brentford, which I think they lost last season. I think Brentford beat them twice even last season. Away and
last game of the season, 1-0.
Yeah, it was. And they'd already won the league, I think, when they travelled to Brentford. So, but obviously they hadn't when they faced them at home. So that's by no means an easy game for them. Let's hope Ivan Toney can do us a favour. Morgie says 2-1 Arsenal. Sweaty Mellow says 3-1. I've got a feeling. I hope you're right, mate. Avase says 3-1 Arsenal. Saka, Odegaard, Havertz. Come on, you Gunners. Over numerousness 82 says 3-2. Hugh Merizier says Liverpool win 3-1. Can't see us winning this game. Jean says 2-1 White and Smith Rowe with the goals. 2-1 nervy win from Thomas. Tom says 1-0 to the Arsenal. It's going to be a nerve-wracking game to watch. Nicholas says 2-1 Arsenal. Saka and Rice with a late winner. Another Rice late winner. I think his blood pressure will be going through the ceiling if he scores another one after the 90th minute. Daryl says 3-3 due to a Zinchenko F-up. Not the biggest fan of Zinchenko is Daryl. Kai's going for a 1-goal difference kind of match in this one. It could be very tight. This is the highest scoring Premier League fixture of all time. There is not a game in the Premier League, not a matchup in the Premier League that delivers more goals than this one. So that usually means it's going to be 0-0. So let's see what happens. But I'm going to go with a 2-1 Arsenal win. A Ben White screamer, of course. And yes, that Martin Odegaard goal would be delicious to see. So hopefully he can deliver it. Leo, thank you for your time, mate. Tell people they can find you.
I'll find you. I'll find everybody.
That's the first time someone's come back to that. That's unnerving, but yeah, sure. Thanks, Leo.
Yes.
Lovely stuff. Jordan.
I can't top that. You could hang out on Instagram at Jordan Lips Fitness if you want some health and fitness content.
Yes, and Jordan will find you and help you with your fitness needs. David.
Jeez, man, I'm going to follow that up. Jeez, man, he sounds like Batman or something. No, man, look, you can just find me in the Discord, David D, same as he is here.
Lovely stuff. Yes, we got one shout out for the Discord. So there you go. But if you want to join these guys, of course, and have a chat with them and the hundreds of others in our Discord, you just need to become a member. It allows you to get called up for the show and put your hat in the ring to join our preview shows every single week before the games. And of course, you get your little icons next to your names in the chat. You can use special emojis, which, I mean, there's a Cedric one. If that tickles your fancy, you want to use that type of emoji in the chat, it's there. You can use it. But thank you to everyone that's listened live. Really appreciate your time. Jordan's bringing in. Yes. Go on. What's their name? Tell us.
His name is Gunner.
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
swear.
Perfect.
My wife was not thrilled, but his name is Gunner. Yeah.
Gorgeous, mate. Absolutely love the stuff. So many of our members love to bring their pets on, and I'm sitting here with a dog and cat allergy, meaning I never can. And it's the worst thing in the world. It is the worst thing about me, I think. But yeah, it's certainly a pain in the ass being allergic to both. But brilliant stuff. Thank you for listening, people. Do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and subscribe to, of course, Jordan stuff. And if you'd like to see the other guys, of course, the Discord server is there as well. I'll be back tomorrow morning with any final updates ahead of the massive game. But other than that, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you as always. I'll see you again very soon. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.